Stop feeling hell, sick fright you cannot bear. Zombies lurk around, so be scared. I am the beast unseen, gruesome, decayed, living thing, and in your flesh I will eat. We have risen up from the earth into a devilish rebirth. A pact of 1,000 corpses made. Our time's now, and we must invade. Our army will not rest till we rip out your chest, and in your brain we will nest. Our eyes will dilate, our tongues will salivate, eyeballs pop in your vital space. We have risen up from the earth into a devilish rebirth, drinking your blood and eating your skin. Anger, hunger driven from within. It's invasion of the Darnell dead. 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 It's invasion. Oh, oh, it's invasion. Oh, oh, it's invasion. Oh, oh, it's invasion. When you start feeling hell, sick fright you cannot bear, zombies look around, so be scared. I am the beast unseen, gruesome, decayed, living thing, and in your flesh I will eat. We have risen up from the earth into a devilish rebirth. A pact of 1,000 corpses made. Our time's now, and we must invade. It's invasion of the Darnell dead. 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 It's invasion. Oh, oh, it's invasion. Oh, oh, it's invasion. Oh, oh, it's invasion of the Darnell dead. Bum, 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 bum. Pow. It's invasion of the Darnell dead. Yeah, it's invasion of the Darnell dead. Thank you very much. My chords. You can see them, right? That's an old deep cut Blitzkid song. Actually, that is one of the first Blitzkids. Wow, I look like a madman today. Right on. I am one hoodie and a pair of 80 aviator shaders away from being the Unabomber. Wow, it progressively gets worse every week. Anyway, so Invasion of the Darnell Dead. I was thinking of that song today. I was going through our catalog, trying to find some songs to play. TB wrote that song way early into the early beginnings of Blitzkid. And at one point, we even considered changing the band name to the Darnell Dead instead of Blitzkid. It was kind of hinged on that song. We stuck with Blitzkid. I think Darnell Dead was just too big of a logo to make instead of Blitzkid. So that may be partially the reason why we stayed with it. 1476 real quick, they're still a band. Go check them out. But yeah, no, so we kind of just, that song fell through the cracks. There were a lot of Blitzkid songs that fell through the cracks in those early days. By the time Let Flowers Die came around, we kind of had an idea what we wanted to do. And not that there isn't songs on that album forward that could be considered derivative of other bands. Just comparatively to other songs in the catalog, they felt more original to us than the earlier stuff. For example, we had a song called Werewolf. We had a song called Weirdos, I think I've talked about before. Greetings from Wales, greets to Wales. Cymru in the house. And Invasion of the Darnell Dead. So it just kind of fell by the wayside. And it wasn't until about maybe 2000 something, like mid 2000s to late 2000s, we uncovered it and then decided to start playing it again. So yeah, if you guys have the split that we did with Crypt Keeper 5, Split Personalities, then that song is on there. So we put that on there. Yep. Invasion of the Doornail Dead. So, and I think it came from TB's dad saying, you know, he would always clarify things as being dead as a doornail. So, Invasion of the Doornail Dead. Zombie song. We already had one, though. We had I'm a Zombie, and we just felt like Invasion of the Doornail Dead was just like maybe too much. Yeah, I think it's still available. You can find it sometimes on, like, I don't know, like eBay or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's still around. A weird look. I can see myself on my guitar. Opening up a portal here. Speaking of portals, today we're not going to have a guest. I apologize. No portals will be opened. So you guys will have to wait for another week to laugh as I and said guest try to make Instagram Live happen in a dual screen format. There's some things going, like, obviously, like last week I was going to have Johnny Ott on, but he just recently had a kid. Congratulations, Johnny Ott and Leanne. This week I had a guest, but some things came up last minute, so I was just going to roll with it and do it solo today. So here's what you get. Let's see here. Mark You the Dead. Had 5 sellers below on repeat for ages. Right on, man. Thank you very much. Keep on spinning it. Glad you guys are digging it. So, the drive-in. Everyone's asking how the drive-in was. The drive-in was excellent. I haven't been to the drive-in in a very long time. So, I think the last time I went to the drive-in was to see The Great Gatsby with Leonardo DiCaprio. DiCap. Not for any real reason other than there was a drive-in nearby where I lived at the time. And I'm not going to lie and say that The Great Gatsby isn't an amazing book. So very, very, you know, telltale 1920s. Just there it is. It's all there. That culture is completely exemplified in that movie. So always dug it. Good movie. Caprio's cool. I like DiCaprio. So that goes all the way back to the Basketball Diaries for me. And I don't know if you guys remember, what was it? What's Eating Gilbert Grape? That was a great one. Artie, climbing the power towers and all that stuff. Anybody out there remember that movie? That was a good one. But no, Basketball Diaries, and then, you know, there was some stuff in the midst there that I really wasn't too fond of. Particularly, I don't really hate anything when it comes to, like, movies and music. I just, There's just either degrees of liking it or not. But like Romeo and Juliet, that was interesting. Again, not really my cup of tea, per se. But yeah, I mean, later on, his stuff got, I think, pretty, even better. You know, like Shutter Island, I think I mentioned that. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. As of, you know, later entries into that list. So Gilbert Grape was awesome. And he did great in Django. I mean, you know, he was a terrible, terrible character in that movie. But like acting wise, I mean, he really pulled that part together. And I read that in the scene where the glass breaks in his hand, that it actually cut him, and he kept on acting and was just using that. So let's see here. Missed last week because I was watching Hacksan while you stream. Yes, my bass, the Hacksan, is named after the Danish film Hacksan, also known as Witchcraft Throughout the Ages. If you have a chance to watch that, that's a really good one. I recommend watching it without William S. Burroughs. I mean, I'm all down with the Beat Poets, but it's a little weird. Shutter Island, exactly, man. That's a great movie. That's one of those movies, I think we mentioned The Lighthouse maybe the week before last, how it kind of reminded me of Shutter Island in the sense that at the end, you're not really sure who's gaslighting who. So, Tropic Thunder has a good view on the movie Gilbert Grape. Yeah, it's true. All right. Swedish, I'm sorry, man. Thank you very much. I'm thinking of the movie of the week, which is Danish. So I've got that on the brain right now. We'll go over that here in a little bit. Yeah, exactly. All over. So I hope you guys have had a good week. You know, I know things are starting to open up around the world, and well, at least in America. I know Connecticut, where I'm at, is starting to open up a little bit. you know, clearly there's still issues happening right now. Many issues, as we all know. So hopefully America gets its shit together sometime soon. Hey, there's Kim Puckett. Nice to see you, Kim. I used to hang out with Kim when our families would hang out together. Our moms and dads were, they were buds. And I remember your dad would scare the shit out of us when we were kids. He was a taxidermist, first and foremost, which is why my father was really good friends with him, because my father was a hunter, right? But Kim's father had this crazy bear tongue that he'd stick in his mouth and chase us around the house. So, Critters 3, man, yeah, dude, there you go. I completely forgot about Critters 3. That's a good one. My favorite Critters scene of any Critters is the Easter Bunny scene. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. So, like, that's just an amazing scene. That was one of my first, I guess, real introductions into humor being interjected into horror movies. Because I didn't really know what to expect with Critters. They looked terrifying as a kid. But, you know, there's horror in that. But when I saw the Easter Bunny getting mangled inside its suit, like, that was funny to me. So, Lauren's learning taxidermy. Right on, man. There you go. So you can then chase people around the house with your makeshift black bear tongue. Oh, man. So, yeah, taxidermy. I grew up around all that stuff as a kid. Unfortunately, I don't have anything crazy, you know, like maybe like a striper, largemouth bass, things like that. You know, fortunately, my father wasn't out killing, you know, owls and wolves. However, you know, you do see those from time to time, like in movies. And I always wonder, like, where did you get those? Because they're completely illegal to have. I wouldn't want anyone to go kill an owl by any means, or like a wolf. But you see them, you know, set decorators for TV shows, you know, like Guillermo del Toro. You'll see them, you're like, where did you get that owl? Just like Psycho, you know. So they're out there. So if anybody has a stuffed owl, let me know. Oh yeah, deer head in the fridge. Little Jordy brings up a good point. Some years ago, I was visiting my father, and just waiting for him to come home. So in the kitchen, decided to open up the fridge and get myself a cool, tasty beverage. Bring beverage out of fridge, open up the other side where, you know, the ice is. And lo and behold, there inside the freezer in all of its glory is an 8-point deer head in a cardboard box with coagulated blood crystals frozen all the way around the rim. So there you go. And in Blitzkid, you know, TB can confirm this for me as well. There were times when, back before we started plaguing his mom with our music at their place, we just more or less shanghaied my parents' place for early Blitzkid rehearsals. And, you know, it was a constant battle of, like, you know, let's get started before anyone's here and play as long as we can before we get kicked out. Something you got to get used to as a punk band, right? So we eventually got moved out to the garage, but the garage really wasn't furnished or even made very well. It was more or less just like a death shed that my father would put random trophy kills in at certain times throughout the year. But it wasn't uncommon for Blitzkid to be practicing or rehearsing around a decapitated, skinned deer hanging by its ankles as it bled into a bucket. So we were very, very black metal in our early practice days. So, you know, it's for the love of the music, right? It's like, you fellas want to practice? All right, hold your breath, here we go. So, the smell of death was all around us, for sure. The chickens, yeah, man, chickens. We had all kinds of crazy stuff at one point. We had turkeys. I don't know why we had turkeys, but I remember my kindergarten year of school, right? Like, you're the big man on campus. Suddenly, your friends have grown by like 2 that your parents know and are in the neighborhood to like 10 because now you go to school with people. So I remember my first like real birthday party at my house. It was my kindergarten year, and we had turkeys, and I let them all out because I wanted to show my friends the turkeys. So a large portion of my birthday was spent with the adults chasing rogue turkeys around the yard while we all laughed. So Yeah, the swing set, that was a death trap. So anyway, how are you guys doing? Sound off out there. How's your week been? Did you guys have a good Memorial Day? Did you guys do anything memorial? Yeah, all right, cool. Oh man, so I hope you guys had a chance to watch Dog Soldiers last week. That was the movie that I decided to throw out into the mix. So hopefully you guys had a chance to watch it. Let's see. Nikki Casket, nice to see you, man. Cheers to all my friends up in the great northwest, east, north, America's hat, if you will, Canada. Right on, man. You guys went to Lake Shawnee. That's pretty cool. Had you guys been there before? Had you and Donnie, have you guys been to Shawnee, or was that kind of like, hey, go check it out? Fiona wasn't too keen on the Dog Soldiers. Hey, you know, that's totally cool. It's one of those movies, you know what I mean? I love arty movies. You know, I love film noir. That movie for me particularly is just a good edge of the seat horror movie that I thought personally like is done much better than a lot of movies that try to do that in that vein. You know what I mean? It's kind of like overcompensation sometimes in a lot of movies, and Dog Soldiers just seem to like have just a natural vibe with that. So, oh, right on. Yeah, Lake Shawnee. If you guys weren't here for that discussion a couple of weeks ago, there's an old haunted amusement park in between Princeton and Spanisburg, West Virginia. You guys should check it out on Wikipedia. It's crazy stuff. I won't rehash it or anything, but it looks like our friend Anna and Donnie went to check it out. Did you guys see any goats? Any ghosts? Or any goats? You probably saw goats too. Yeah, Samvo, like the characters. Yeah, I thought they were cool. You know what I mean? Like they're very just like on the nose. You know what I mean? There's no real shades of gray to the characters. It's like I'm the bad military operations guy. I'm the good guy. So yeah, it was a very actiony movie, and I think that's why I wanted to throw that one in here, is because you know, I tend to throw a lot of slow burners out there. Those are generally, by and large, like my favorite style of movies. So Dog Soldiers was just like a complete opposite of that. So when you find out the dog survives, yeah, man. Adam Age, thank you very much. Yeah, I ain't afraid of no goats. Certain parts of West Virginia, you might be. We have sheep squatch. Sorry about that. I heard you guys. I know you guys have heard me talk about the Mothman, like to ad nauseum, I'm sure. Flatwoods Monster, right? But there are many other cryptids, I guess we'll call them, in the great state of West Virginia as well, the Mountain State. Sheep squatch. If you guys know anything about sheep squatch, let me know. If not, we'll talk about that one day. Liam Williams says they must have spent nearly all the budget on the werewolves. Yeah, good for them though, right? I mean, that's for me like the big problem with a lot of werewolf movies is they don't. That's why I love American Werewolf in London so much. I mean, there was no follicle in that werewolf, you know, puppet, aperture, costume, whatever combination of those things that there is, that was left unnoticed. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of time. Like Rick Baker took extraordinary lengths to make that work. So, yes, Black Sheep, exactly. Peter Jackson's Black Sheep. I always thought that Black Sheep, there should have been the tagline, and like it always drove me nuts that they didn't do this because it was so perfect. It should have said there will be bleeding, not bleeding, but BLEATING, because of the sheep, right? But Peter Jackson's listening, and I'm sure he is. Revise that, please. Black Sheep equals New Zealand life. Yes, right? Don't forget Flight of the Conchords, too. You guys have the Flight of the Conchords. Yeah, that's what I liked about the werewolves too, is how big they were. They kind of had more of almost like a greyhound vibe. They were very slender and sleek. You know, they were agile, I guess. They weren't just like bulky, lumbering monsters. Yeah, Tingo and Eden says, Howl. Yep, I've seen bits and pieces of that. I need to check that out. I've heard really good things about Wer, W-E-R, or if we're in Germany, Foul, air, or Vey. I'm sorry, Vey. Of course, you can't forget Jack Nicholson, Wolf. Right, that was like such a weird movie. Like when that came out, I was young, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna check this out, and like I totally just was not into the storyline, just because it was for not kids. Werewolves on Wheels, yeah, man, that's an old one. Hi Jinx, what's up, dude? That's a good one. Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory, that's another cheesy one. So let's see. Monsters of Punk says, if we ever come to New Zealand, there's a cave, which is a whole bunch of, yeah, awesome. I would love to see that. One thing I always want to do, I think it's in Scotland. If I ever get to, benefit to go back there anytime soon, is more or less the cave of I forget the Sawney Bean clan. I think they were. They were more or less a family of cannibals. If you guys are unfamiliar with the story, of whom were the catalyst for the story The Hills Have Eyes, many other things as well. But I don't know if that cave is actually still a thing, or if it's even like ever truly been like a designated locale. But I always thought that story was really, really interesting. If you guys ever have a chance to check that out, it's the Sawney Bean clan. Doctor Who. You know what? I got to be honest with you. I've missed the Doctor Who train so far. I remember it as a kid. I remember the original episodes coming on PBS, just because my grandmother would watch Dark Shadows, and they were generally on around the same time. So I do remember more or less just the ends of Doctor Who, because I think they were before Dark Shadows. But I have seen like certain characters from the show, like the Watcher Angels, I think they're called, or whatever they are. The Weeping, I forgot their name. Someone's going to correct me immediately, I'm sure. All the Doctor Who fans, but yeah, no, stuff like that's really cool. Like PBS was what was up, man. You know what I mean? Like back in the day. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm like kind of in the middle of like working on these cool little merch projects that like just occurred to me to create a little while before this. So I'm like over here. My favorite scene from Dog Soldiers is probably just like when they're going through the house. I know that's like kind of like typical, like the scene, the climax more or less. They're poking through and all that stuff. And obviously like when he punches the werewolf, that's pretty different, I guess you would say. Bubba the Redneck Werewolf, I have not seen that. I'll have to check that out. You remind me of something that is cool, dirty, and rebel. I love it. Right on. That's my hygiene coming through. the dirty part, at least. So, yeah, I got Mexico in the house tonight. Right on. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad you guys checked it out, though. Like I said, Dog Soldiers is just more or less like I don't want to say a guilty pleasure of mine. It's just one of those movies that doesn't really, like, fit the bill for what I typically like. But anyway, in the vein of werewolf stuff, Pravita Darren, sorry. Yeah, so not today, no guest. I had somebody lined up, but some stuff's come up, so you get me again. That's 2 weeks in a row. So you're on a roll as everyone leaves. Anyway. So speaking of werewolves, I was wanting to play a werewolf song from the Blitzkid catalog. Let's see here. Yes to the podcast. Thank you. This one isn't really one that like lends itself well to being played acoustically, but I'm going to play it anyway. So this is another TB song, TB Monstrosity. This is a very early Blitzkid song. I remember hearing this song, and we had this on, oh god, what was the website? I think it was garageband.com at one point, if you guys remember that. That was like way back in the early days of, like digital music and kind of like networking, that stuff. But you know, you would categorize your music, and I forgot what category we were. It wasn't like horror punk. It was, I don't even think it was punk. It was something probably like alternative. But this song actually ranked really high at one point on there, and that was one of our first like moments where we stood back and we're like, this is crazy. People who live in California are listening to The Howling and voting on it. You know, it was those early heydays of the internet where we all started to get connected as we are right now. You know, all the things we take for granted, more or less. So yeah, mp3.com, damn, taking it back. But I'm going to play this song. This song's called The Howling. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's about one of our collective, you know, favorite horror movies. As youths, looking back on it, I gotta say, like, The Howling probably isn't the best movie in the world. But yeah, When They Howl, I kind of started playing that or the week that Gozer was on here. Yeah, we do have multiple werewolf songs. It's a good question. We started with a song called Werewolf that we never played. And then it was The Howling. And then I want to say Lupin Tooth. So that's 3. For our European friends. 1, 2, 3. The Howling, Lupin Tooth, She-Wolf. That's technically, I guess you could consider that a werewolf song. I know there's more, actually. I don't know. Anyone? I feel like there's a very obvious one that I'm missing. Anybody? Nope. So that might be it. It might be those 4. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of them that, you know, I think that we had that never made it. Let's say, I guess you could consider from my catalog the Argyle Goolsby stuff, Baskerville. Not necessarily a werewolf, but a beastly hound, if you will. Black Dog, one of those deals. Awesome. Yeah, Lupin Tooth was one of the songs for us that, you know, when I heard it, when TB played it for me, I was just like, this is crazy, this is awesome, right? Because if you really listen to stuff like Terrifying Tales, you know, well, let's go all the way back to Songs for the Aesthetically Challenged. If you guys have heard that, I mean, it was more or less just like Screech and Weasel, the Queers, the Nobodies, things like that, kind of like bubblegum pop. But, you know, like snotty and kind of irreverent, if you will. By the time Terrifying Tales came out, you know, listening to, you know, a lot of like just like more like street punk, you know, and I don't want to classify the Clash as street punk, but, you know, outside of that, like Corrupted Ideals, UK Subs, things like that. So like you can hear that in some of the early songs, like The Hills Have Eyes. You know, it's kind of edgier, and I was more focused because I'd never sang before on just singing, just screaming. And TB was like really at that point in time, I think, like into a lot of like metal, like Old Man's Child, you know, Bork Nagar, like all this crazy black metal. And you could hear that in some stuff like Slayera, Diabolos Rising, Salem's Ghost, things like that. But by the time, I want to say, you know, Lupin Tooth came along, that's when we kind of, I don't want to say homogenized, but we kind of like pulled everything together, all those influences, I feel like. And Let Flowers Die for me really feels like our first album that kind of sounds like us, you know what I'm saying? And Lupin Tooth, I feel like, is one of those songs that really exemplifies that. So yeah, I'm going to play this song for you real quick, and then I need to go get my charger because I did not charge up my fancy iPad today. But bear with me, this is not an acoustic song, but... Can you hear them calling in the dark? A savage pack that grows hungry. Half humans, half beings, ready to start their frenzied killing spree. The moon is full tonight. The hair stands on my neck and then something's not right. The howling it goes hearing through the air. Some people better beware. And now these beasts of prey are gonna take your life. When there's howling on the hills, someone dies. Ravenous love struck by sick like entropy. They infect the innocent. Half humans, half beings, eating fresh meat. Your flesh will be ripped to shreds. The moon is full tonight. The head stands on my neck and then something's not right. The howling it echoes even through the air. Some people better beware. And now these beasts of prey are gonna take your life. When there's howling on the hills, someone dies. This is so sloppy, I'm sorry. The head stands on my neck and then something's not right. The howling it echoes heaving through the air. Some people better beware. And now these beasts of prey are gonna take your life. When there's howling on the hills, someone dies. Someone dies. Someone dies. Right on, that is the howling. Sorry, I got a little sidetrack there, trying to keep my rhythm, as it were. I've got the rhythm. Hey guys, hang tight real quick. I'm gonna go get my charger. So let me see, what can I entertain you with? Here's my guitar while I'm gone. Take a look at this. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Part of me just wants to just see how long I can stay away. Just how many people will stay on here and then just start cussing me. Oh man. Alright, I'm gonna have to move up the thing for a moment. Oh god. I'm very into old man with technology territory. I apologize. Alright, I'm gonna have to turn this on the flip side. How's that? Oh, now you're upside down. Alright, never mind. Stream close up. We good? Alright, cool. Alright, yeah. Every week, right? Playing hard or hardly play, and what do you think, man? Watch it on the replay. You tell me. I'm beginning to look a little bit like Otis B. Driftwood. Yeah, dude. That sounds pretty accurate, actually. I had a hairstyle at one point in my life. I don't really know what happened to it, so. Crypt Keeper Curtis, man, I've been doing good, dude. Thank you very much. You know, just over here in my Otis Driftwood phase of life. Oh, man. Yeah, my hair's kind of become an entity of its own as of late, so. Not that COVID has anything to do with that. I think that's just, you know, that's just me. So I think I missed a few questions up here, so I'm going to scroll back up. Yeah, I do have 6 strings. So, well, thank you very much. I tried to make that work. Yeah, so anyway, let's see here. I spent $70 on a horror movies. It happens, man. I used to check IDs at an Irish pub. So flash forward, flash back, as they say, to like the year 2000 when I was apprenticing. at Ancient Art Tattoo Studio in Roanoke, Virginia. One of my jobs was to, well, besides take the money to the bank every morning and not get robbed, was to really just work without pay. That is the nature of apprenticeships, right? Luckily, the people for whom I worked with, they had a lot of friends there in town, and there was a bar. If anyone from Roanoke, Virginia is out there, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it was a place called Cara O'Kane's Irish Pub, and every Wednesday night it was up to me to stand outside and check everyone's ID, regardless of age, right? Which everyone loved, you know what I mean? Everyone loved having their ID checked by a young punk like myself at the door, when all they wanted to do was go in and listen to whatever hits were being played by the DJ that night. But anyway, what I would do with that money is I would stockpile it, obviously, for bills and ravioli and anything else that I could eat on a budget. But there was a really kick-ass record store around the corner called Safe, S-A-F-E, as Milk. And this was early into the DVD, the introductions of DVD into the world of entertainment and home viewing. So there was a plethora of horror movies. And this was largely because people trading everything in because of DVD. But I got everything there, man. I quadrupled my VHS collection in that year. 50-cent movies, right? I mean, it was just like a dream come true. So I still have all of those, and obviously, VHS really isn't anything you can just watch these days as easily, but the box art, that was a thing for me. I love all the box art. So let's see, why didn't I grow a quarantine beard? Because I usually just grow a neck beard. I just end up with a fur turtleneck, and it just looks weird. So, and vampires aren't allowed to grow beards, correct? All right, man. Peroxygen says that they got their shirts yesterday. Awesome. If you guys missed it last week, I just wanted to let you know we do have shirts up at the A Corpse with No Name store, ACWNN store.com. We have some shirts available. However, right now the warehouse is slightly backed up due to all the craziness with COVID. They're getting back on track, but just be aware. If you have ordered a shirt, if you're in Europe, it's going to be about 10 to 13 days out from the point that you ordered it. And if you're in the U.S., it's going to be, or in Canada, North America, it's going to be about 25 days. But it's getting better. So, right on. But yeah, all right, we got Brazil here. What's up, Brazil? But yeah, no, when I was a kid, my big thing was to go to Kmart, right? That was my incentive to be good in school, was if I did good with my grades, I could go buy whatever I wanted at Kmart. And Kmart had a rad collection of VHS when that was becoming a thing. And that era of I'd say 84 to 88, whenever you would see those old VHS collections, they were amazing. The art on them. Good Times Video, they had a lot of really good ones. For example, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. That was the first VHS I ever bought. I still have it. I would just sit it up on my shelf next to my toys. It was a toy. It was just, I wanted to look at it. But if you guys look up Good Times Video, Creature from the Black Lagoon, it's a beautiful box. It's yellow with kind of pastel artwork on it. So the American Werewolves, yeah, man, we played a couple of shows with those guys. Someone's asking about the American Werewolves. So I've got some more shirt designs too. Not necessarily Blitzkid or Argyle Goolsby related, but some that's just related to my artwork that I've kind of put into, I guess, t-shirt form, adapted for that format. And I really want to make those available. If you guys are interested, let me know. Sound off. Leave me some comments. It's just, again, I don't want to be throwing out some new shirts in the midst of a huge delay, because it's just going to be hey, check it out, and 23 days later you might get it. So, but yeah, that's kind of something I have in mind right now to do. Some of the sold out shirts ever come back? It's possible, yeah. The Michael Jackson shirt, yeah, that's another one. Again, I was going to throw that one up, and then all these delays started happening. So, you know, I just kind of want to give everyone whose orders are already out and already outstanding a chance to get called up before I do anything new. So, yeah. But I've got a lot of like artwork, art shirts from sketchbooks and things like that, and things that I actually haven't even made available that I was tooling around with. Let's see if I have some pictures I can show you from my phone. I might not have anything on here though, actually. Maybe, maybe not. Nope, not yet. I'm sorry. So yeah, check back, you know, like maybe in a couple of weeks, we'll see where we're at with everything. We'll see where the factory is, the warehouse, and the shipping, because I don't ship them myself. They come from a warehouse. So just so you know, like, that's kind of like why if you write and you're like, yo, where's my shirt? Like, I'm not just sitting over here, like, you know, swinging it around the room, like playing with my cat. I don't have it. So let's see here. Someone's asking me a very poignant question. If you had to fight an army of werewolves or an army of vampires, which one and why? Well, that's a very good question. I would have to say, I don't know. All I'm thinking of right now is What We Do in the Shadows, where like the werewolves are about to fight the vampires. I can't think of anything else but that right now. We'll come back to that. I need to think about that because I'm a strategist. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't answer questions like that, you know, without thinking. Like I will lay in bed and think about that all night, just so you know. So I might have an answer for you next week. V-neck tank tops, yeah, man. Of course, if you guys want tank tops, V-necks, you know, whatever, man, I'll make them. So, werewolves. Yeah, I love the part where he's all like, he's like, hey, you're gonna rip your tracksuit? Be careful. Go fuck off to a tree, mate. Someone's asking me my favorite horror punk bands, less than 10 years young. Let's see, that's a good question. I like a lot of different bands. Gallowmere from New England, we'll say, because I don't know if they're from Massachusetts or not. I think they are. They're awesome. Damnation, not necessarily. I wouldn't I don't want to say pigeonhole, because pigeonhole sounds like bad to be pigeonholed horror punk, but I wouldn't necessarily like categorize them as horror punk, but they definitely have a lot of that element and vibe. So love those guys a lot. Let's see, who else? The past 10 years. I would say the Epidemic doesn't count. They've been around longer than that. God, it's crazy. There's a few, man. That's another one I'll have to get back to you on. OG shirts. Yeah, man. That's kind of the plan. You know what I mean? I kind of want to reintroduce, you know, a lot of the old shirt designs back into the ether, out into the world. So I do. Yeah, there we go. I do. Is that a preposition? What is that? I do commission artwork. So just whenever I have time, you know what I mean? Because every night's like Thanksgiving dinner for me. You know, I'm like making 15 different dishes. So no, I have not found the Head McGee pic. I have like a really pixelated version of it, and it's cropped down. Someone put like a vignette on it to where it's, you know, like most of the pictures cut out. I have confirmed with TB that the actual hard copy photos are at his mother's house. So, you know, I've asked him, next time he's over that way, look for them, get them, scan them, and put them up. Don't worry, because you will see them, I promise you. Someone mentioned 5 Cent Freak Show. Those are awesome guys as well. Very cool dudes. My favorite dish to make? That's a really good question. I make it pretty... Check this out. Are you talking about food? Are we talking about food or just like pottery? Because I think my pottery might be better than my dishes. More importantly, where are you most excited to go on your next tour? But because the place has my favorite restaurant, well, I mean, there's so many places I like to eat anywhere in California, like, you know, In-N-Out Burger. That's, you know, like the, you know, kind of, I guess, mid-level food choice. I do have been known to go fine dining from time to time. There's a lot of good places. There's a place in, I want to say Cleveland, and I cannot remember the name of it, but they have these sandwiches there. And if anyone from Cleveland is out there, please tell me what it is. They're more or less like pulled pork sandwiches with fries. What else is it? I want to say like maybe like some form of coleslaw or something on it, but we saw it on Man vs. Food, and like we went there, and when we went there, like it was like totally like not a very safe neighborhood to be in, but there's like one picture of Robin Williams like eating this thing, and then you know, the guy Adam, whatever his name is from Man vs. Food, on the wall. We're like, we're here, we made it. So yeah. Speaking of cooking, I haven't made anything from Vincent Price's cookbook, not yet. But I will tell you, I did kind of come up, I don't necessarily want to take entirely like all the credit for this, but I did make my own variations of it. I'm a fan of pizza. So one thing that I like to do, if you're with me out there, for all of my, all my chef friends, I'll call myself one of those for a moment. Dough, right? Roll your own dough. Olive oil, but in the olive oil, heat it up, but heat it up with rosemary, all right? And then put that on the crust. I can't believe I'm telling you guys how to make a pizza. This is crazy. All right, but then take Yukon Gold potatoes and slice them up, and then put goat cheese on it, and then put dill and maybe a little bit of honey. That shit's so good. Anyway, and I'm not responsible for any of you that have to go to the hospital for abdominal cramps after that. Just so you know. Not responsible. So, funny story, like actually you're asking about food. At one point when I was playing in Gorgeous Frankenstein, yeah, pizza tips with Argyle Goolsby. I need a little hat. Let's see if I can make my hair into a pizza hat. I can make it into anything else. That's kind of close enough, right? So, when I was in, look at this. Like, Robert Smith has nothing on me, man. Nothing. That's no product, my friends. None. You could try other cheese, but I think goat cheese is the best. Again, take the dough, take some olive oil, heat it up with rosemary, infuse it, put it on. I usually boil the potatoes first. Yukon Gold. Yeah, this just makes it even better, right? Like you want someone who looks like this to tell you like what dinner dishes to make, right? Look at that. It looks like I look like the thing from Neverending Story, the Night Hob. Do you remember him, the guy that rode the bat? That's what I'm looking like these days. I just need like some scraggly sideburns, like the kid from The Burbs. You guys remember The Burbs with Tom Hanks? I apologize. I'm all over the place, man. I'm giving you recipes. I'm doing this. I'm talking about Tom Hanks movies. I never said there was a structure to any of this. But what I was going to say about Gorgeous Frankenstein was at one point Doyle knew someone who was making, I guess, like a cookbook. And he had like a recipe, and I cannot remember what it is. But I was actually going to make one. I was going to submit one. So, pineapple on pizza? Absolutely, dude. No, I'm not talking about Corey Feldman. I'm talking about Hans, the neighbor kid with like the straggly hair all over his face. Yeah, we're just hanging out, bro. I saw The Burbs in the theater, as a matter of fact. That was a good one. That was a great one to see in the theaters. The theaters? The theaters, I'm sorry. Oh, man. But yeah, man, now I'm jumping back to the pizza. So, yeah, boil that shit, all right? And put it on the pizza, and then goat cheese, so you get a nice little brown on the ghost cheese. And, yeah, you're good to go. Mellow mushroom. Oh, my God, man. Somebody's from the quadrant of the states where I'm from. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mellow Mushroom, but Mellow Mushroom is an amazing place to get pizza. They have one called a Philosopher's Pie, and they also have one called, what is it called? Something, what's the Tahiti one? What's the one? I don't remember. Anyway. I do like pizza. Black or green olives on a pizza? Black olives for sure. I've had some crazy stuff on pizza though. Like I've had a lot of random pizzas just by being in a band and traveling the world and being fed pizza on a regular basis. I had haggis on a pizza, which is barley stuffed sheep intestine on a pizza at a Wetherspoons in Glasgow, Scotland, and it was awesome. I've had crab on a pizza. I think I had peanut butter on a pizza one time, which was gross. But not as gross as, and this is, I'm going to get back to you, Zombie Dad 91, okay? A blueberry pizza, that sounds pretty awesome. I've had grapes on a pizza. I ate a cigarette on a pizza one time by accident, but that's, you know, that wasn't on purpose. I wouldn't advise it. Yeah, so, yeah, black olives. Definitely black olives. Sorry, I'm reading here. Bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to jump and answer this question real quick. Zombie Dad is asking me how I joined Gorgeous Frankenstein. I got invited to be in the band. So more or less what it was I had been out playing with Dr. Chud in his band, the X Ward. I was playing live bass with him for a little bit. And we were out on tour, and he was like, yo, Doyle's got a band, and he's looking for a bass player and a singer. And I was like, cool. He's like, you should audition. And this was in an era where I just could take my phone and be like, okay, well, here's us playing. I only had a couple of, like, you know, whatever random VHS tapes that people had sent us from when we had played shows at various venues. So, you know, I didn't send anything in, but Chud had these tapes, and I guess he sent them into Doyle. And Doyle called and was like, hey, this is Doyle, and I hung up on him. I told this story before, so that's why I'm trying to rush through it. I'm sorry. It's on, like, maybe the first or second episode, but yeah, I got invited to be in Gorgeous Frankenstein, which was pretty cool. I've not had milk pizza. Yeah, mac and cheese pizza, yes, I've had that. That's good. Definitely good. Punk rock, we're done. Yeah, okay. That's cool. I've had corn on a pizza. I've had crab on a pizza too, which was weird. I've not had sweet pickles on a pizza. That sounds pretty good. I always loved hanging out with Jason, you know, Trioxin, because it was so it was so easy to get him going, man. Like he was Jason wasn't a very opinionated fella, and I loved him to death for that reason. And one of his convictions was pizza. So being from you know, Bergen County, New Jersey, which, you know, you're right there basically in New York City, but in New Jersey, he had really concise ideas of what pizza should be. So when we were on tour, we'd be like, Jason, you gotta try this pizza, and he would just always roll his eyes. Just be like, yeah, whatever. Like Mellow Mushroom, we would go to Mellow Mushroom, I would just be singing its praises, and he would be standing outside smoking a cigarette, rolling his eyes. So I think his favorite pizza was Sarge's. And I can't remember where that was, but it's in New Jersey. If you guys were at the Blitzkid VIP last year at the Trioxin Memorial, that was the pizza that we served. That was Jason's favorite pizza. So let's see here. You ate red ants on a pizza once? Oh, there you go. It happens. What do I think about sleeping with socks on? Yeah, I'm not opposed. You know, I mean, if it feels good, man, sleep with your socks on. Do I like the Gaslight Anthem? I do. I'm not like a really big fan of them per se, you know, but I definitely think they're good. This is going to sound catty and probably like I'm being snarky, and I really am not being when I say this, but like that's what the Crypt Keeper 5's for. I like the Crypt Keeper 5. You know, the Gaslight Anthem, with all due respect, I truly mean that. Like, have taken a lot of cues from those guys, in my humble opinion. But anyway, let's see here. Yeah, man, Chris Soto, Yeah, we went there for sure, bro. Oh man. Reading some more comments. Dracula hair? Alright, let's see if I can do some Dracula hair for you guys. Let's see what happens here. Oh my god. Right though? Night Hob from Neverending Story. Let's see if I can get this thing going for you. You guys came here for music and stories. Instead you're getting this. I apologize. Let's see if I can get it up here for you. It's my Gary Oldman Dracula hair. I don't think it's going to work, you guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, it's like Velcro. It just sticks to itself. And it's clean, I promise. I just don't know what's going on here. Are we still talking about Yoo-Hoo? Oh, man, that was like 2 episodes ago. We're still fighting about Yoo-Hoo. Oh, man. Yeah, like, I think my favorite pizza, though, and we talked about this last week, that's a tall order. That's a very bold statement to make, but there's a place in Bordentown, New Jersey that is literally, you can walk through Johnny Ott's yard to get to it, called Palermo's. And if you guys are from like southern Jersey or central Jersey, I know there's like north, southern, and central. Just don't kill me if I'm getting my geography and my division lines wrong, because I'm not a native. But in that part of New Jersey, like Trenton, they have a thing called tomato pies, where they do the crust, the cheese, and then they put the sauce on top and the tomatoes on top. And that shit is really good. We're talking about food, you guys. I'm sorry you have to see me like this, but I really don't care. I got nothing to hide there. Are there any bands out there that aren't in the horror punk genre that you would like to tour with? Yeah, there's all kinds. Dropkick Murphys, I love those guys. God, that would, again, you're asking me like some soul-searching questions today, and I appreciate it. It's just, I'm not good at like giving quick answers on that, so. I'm a beast from Disney. Yeah, I'm like a bad guy from Disney. Count Chocula, I could do that. That's more or less what's going on right there, right? That's my Count Chocula right there. There's my Count Chocula too. You guys see my Count Chocula tattoo? I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's looking a little ashy these days, but Chicago deep dish. I like Chicago deep. I like all pizza as long as it's good. The largest pizza I've ever had in my entire life was in a town called Illingen in Germany, and the pizza, I'm not kidding you, it was every bit of, I'd say 36 inches in circumference, like a yard all the way around. So you guys check it out. It's going to be cutting me off here in about a minute and a half, so we'll keep on talking about Count Chocula and the like and the such until I get cut off. But come back, I'll play you another song. We'll talk about the next movie for next week, and then we'll let you guys get on with your Monday night. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and end this. Stand by. We'll come back and play some music and talk some movies. And see you in a minute. Bye.